Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. My name's Mike Amos. His name is Bill Rice Jr. and his name is Forrest Lee. As we start the morning, on a Monday, the what day is
19th
it?
19th day of April.
The 19th
Garlic
day.
Day. Garlic Day.
Garlic Day of
And
all
Mike
days.
is back.
Mike is back day. That's the
Mike's
key thing.
Back.
And really have looked forward to this for a while to come back and be on the air. And of course, I've enjoyed watching you guys perform and perform and doing a very good job of it. And I'm glad that everybody's doing well. And of course, welcome to the Withington Group, brought to you by the Withington Group, and with the great hands of Perry Green and Allstate Insurance is a part of the Withington Group. What you guys been doing?
Well, I had food poisoning. I think this weekend, or there was some bug going around the school system, not COVID related, just a stomach bug that makes you nauseous and throw up. And man, I got it Friday night, and so
hey, as long as you get rid of it right now, you're going out. If you got rid of it now.
Oh yeah, it was a 24-hour bug, and
I hope so.
But it wasn't fun Friday night. I'll tell you that.
Oh boy!
Did everybody get it in the household?
Jack had it, and he had it a
The
couple
week
of days
before,
ago.
That's yeah. My wife said every time she keeps my grandchildren, she comes down with something.
Yeah.
You know, Troy's going to be busy this weekend, Mike, with Troy Fest. It's going to be a wonderful day. Saturday from 9 to 5, and I believe Sunday from 10 till about 4. And then Troy University baseball plays this weekend. The high school playoffs start this weekend for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I'm not sure about softball yet. Some of those teams have not been formalized of who's going to play who, when, and where. But beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful week, I believe.
I heard the weather this morning, and they claim it's going to be real good weather. So great. Was it last year or the year before last that they rained?
COVID stopped it last year.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't know about the year before, but COVID stopped it last year, and
Well, that's good that we're getting back to this sense of normalcy and having this event. That I saw they had the 8A games at Alabama and Auburn and had pretty big crowds at those. So.
I know Alabama charged $5. Did Auburn charge
$10?
$10.
I think Auburn's
yes,
always charged.
Yeah, they're paying off.
Smart.
Yeah, I think they've got to pay off a bus.
That'll
easy
do it.
$5, right? Easy $10.
That'll buy a
right?
bus.
But
That's a good way to
I'll
look
tell
at it.
you, I believe Auburn is going to do very well this year. I think
got a
they're gonna
feeling
do-
too. He's a great
I think they're
coach.
going to do well.
I was reading some of the players' comments about him. They said that he is definitely a player. They call it a player's coach, and that's what they say. He's conscious of what happens after these kids go off the field too.
Yeah. Well, he's got a couple of Auburn ties of players, former players who are coaches, and they have some impactful stories. And who has a better story to tell than Zach Etheridge?
Oh yeah.
And it's got to be super exciting for him and his family for him to be on the field at Auburn University.
No question about it, man. No question about it.
No, I mean he is. His story as a player is amazing, and inspiring, and scary at the same time. And then, but to become a head coach at Auburn at this young age is so impressive.
Ladies and gentlemen, we start today with some sad news. Troy University's trustee Lamar Higgins passed away this weekend, and what a great man he was. He served Troy. I believe he was the longest serving Troy trustee there was. I think he'd been here longer than anybody else. And, did you know him, Rice?
I did. You could not know him because he was at all the big Troy events. He supported Troy so well, and where I would see him was the sidelines. His hobby was photography, and he liked to take pictures at football games.
Yeah.
And I would see him taking pictures at football games.
And what he'd do, he'd take pictures of the players, and at the end of the year, he'd say, "All right, guy, let's go over your pictures." And he'd give it to him, and that was a nice gesture to have a what I call a professional photographer, taking pictures of guys and like for their parents and everything. I think that was a great thing he did.
He was the first African American to be elected SJ president at Troy University, and he was the first one to be elected for the second time.
That's right,
unopposed. He was 61 years of age, so he was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and we were in school about the same time. He came maybe a year after I did, but
well, he was a real gentleman, and he did many things to enhance Troy in the public eye, and in the Montgomery public eye, he put us us right up the top. He would promote us just like AUM and Alabama State. He would go head to head with them, and he was a great spokesman for Troy.
And he was so young. I mean, he was only 61.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had cancer.
I didn't know he did either. And
this is a real shock. He seems, from all accounts, is a great man, and loved Troy and did a lot for Troy, and well known in Montgomery. But what a sad way to start the show. But let's celebrate this wonderful life he had.
Yeah. Another man that some of you would know and some of you would not know is I lost a very good friend of mine, Bobby, and of course he Bobby Terrell from Greenville.
Okay.
Bobby Terrell was a real outstanding citizen in Greenville, and of course he was a former great basketball player at Troy. Played under Coach.
Coach Archer?
Yeah, Coach Archer, and he was just a real big businessman in Greenville, and he did a lot of things. I know this, that the furnishings in the alumni house at Troy, he bought them all.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. And he was in the school furniture business, but
that was his donation.
When somebody asked him to
excuse me,
how much that we would be owing him after he furnished it, he said not a dime. But he loved Troy University very much.
It's almost like we need a super duper alumni house.
Yeah, well, I hope
we'll
super
get it duper.
Yeah.
Brand new, where it's very spacious and open. Not that I like the one we have, but some of these other colleges.
Oh yeah, we need it bad.
South Alabama has a pretty nice one.
You're right, and we saw that when we went down there. No question about it that Troy University needs an alumni house, and I tell you.
And we had talked earlier. Remember, Bill brought up the fact we need a motel on campus.
Oh yeah.
Well,
that's where you can have it all. Maybe
Mike and Michael have both mentioned that one before Bill Rice.
That would be what you could do. You could build an alumni house, and then also on top, the top floors, you could make it out to be a hotel and
a conference
with that
center
hotel management program that Troy has.
Culinary arts.
And that would be good. You could have, and then you have a great place for people to visit.
And we've even talked about a possible location for that, haven't we?
The National Guard Armory all the way down to Charles Edison High School, and put a new high school and armory on the bypass.
That's right.
State troopers on the bypass.
Some of these ideas take a while, understandably, so who knows what's in the works.
But again, Bobby, I tell you, was a great Trojan, and we're going to miss him, and of course with Lamar, Higgins, and what he did for our university, and we lost a great man just a few weeks ago, or actually, what time was that? Was our who
The Boy Scout leader?
Oh, Doug Patterson.
Doug Patterson.
That's
yeah.
two big greats.
And,
Dr. Doug Patterson.
And he was a great leader and had a lot to do with where Troy is today. And you know, I mentioned our friend, our Boy Scout leader.
Mr. Peters?
Yeah. Oh boy, he was a outstanding leader of the Boy Scouts, and that's why Troy had so many
Eagle Scouts?
Eagle Scouts. That's right. And the Eagle Scout program here was big because of him. And you know, we've talked about this before, you two guys, and were any of you in the Scouts?
My brother Rush was. I
was in the
All right.
I was in the Cub Scouts in Luverne for just a short period of time. I was in Goshen down the dirt road. I couldn't get to Troy very often.
But let me just say that on your resume, you know, it's probably one of the biggest things you could. Let's just say this: everything was right with you and me, and I was wanting a position. You were wanting a position. And one thing that was separate from both from each other, from me than you, was the Eagle Scout.
Yeah,
and that's big.
That says something about you.
Yeah, it talks about work ethic and a lot of things.
That's right. But now I wasn't a Boy Scout, but think of all the stories I have written about Boy Scouts and Eagles.
Oh yeah,
Eagle Scouts and projects that Eagle Scouts had to do. So I'm very familiar with it. I remember Rush went to. He was in it, and they went on some fun campouts. I got to go on some of the campouts. Those were funny with my dad going on a campout. But then he went to the Boy Scout National Camp out west. It was in New Mexico or Arizona somewhere. One time on a bus trip, we were living in Opelika and saw the Grand Canyon and the Carlsbad Caverns. And I remember they toured the Astrodome, which was a big deal back then. What's the name of that camp in New Mexico? Everybody, all the scouts will know it. But
he took them out there every year.
Yeah.
And the Grand Canyon, like you said, the Grand Canyon and everything, and that was quite a trip. And he made it several times. And I tell you, you know what he did? He worked for the big tire company down in Dothan for years, and what is that? He gave it to me. What did you hear? What is he saying?
I can't hear. I can hear
I
it. Steve knows it though.
Yeah, he knows it. But you know what he did on the side was put wallpaper up in people's houses. He was the expert at it. He was the best at doing it.
You know, and I think wallpaper is making a comeback.
And that's what he did. Just.
Michelin.
That's right, Michelin. Worked for Michelin for several years and retired from Michelin. And when he wasn't working with the Scouts, he would his sideline was wallpaper, putting up wallpaper.
Is it Gorham Scout Ranch or Winnipeg Mountain Camp or Camp Winnipeg, the Great Southwest Council?
Maybe
I'm wrong.
No, it's
Dale Resler, Dowling.
Put National Boy Scout Camp in there, or Boy Scout National Summer Camp.
It's the National Boy Scout Camp.
If you could guess who was the worst state in the union when it comes to the COVID-19 virus, who would you think has the worst numbers right now?
Probably Alabama.
No, it's Michigan.
No, Michigan. They say Michigan, and they say another problem that the Michigan is having is water.
Really?
For some reason, they've got some kind of water problem, and you know, they say you got to have water. If you don't have anything, you got to have water.
That's right.
And I heard the senator from Michigan pleading not only because a lot of their people and a lot of their are not getting the shots, and they're not wearing the face masks. Those are two big, when you're talking about the virus,
well, let me ask you
those
this.
two things are pretty important.
The cases in Texas are going down dramatically. But they're not wearing their face mask in Texas. So I mean, I don't get and in Florida's cases aren't any more than Alabama's, and they haven't had the face mask thing. So I don't know if you can draw a correlation between if you have the heavy face mask mandates, you're not going to have cases, and if you don't have them, you're going to have a lot of cases. It just seems like to me, it doesn't make a difference.
Would it be Detroit? The big old town of Detroit.
It
I
must
wonder
be,
if that has a lot to do with
that's probably what she's talking
out
about.
in the rural areas. I don't think it's that. I don't know what the stats are.
But Michigan is way
Up there.
higher, and Michigan has they got a real liberal Democratic governor, and they got the most severe protocols and mandates as any state in the union. So that kind of tells you something right there.
Well, of course, we got Alabama and Auburn spring game to talk about, and we're waiting for Mike Amos to come in. He must have slept through it this morning. But
I can cover the Troy baseball and Troy softball until he calls. If you want me to do that.
Your deal.
Okay, Troy baseball. We're 16-18 overall. We're 4-8 in the conference. We won 4-0. We lost 7-5 and 17-15.
Well, that was close.
Yeah, so it
So
was
who
close.
we were playing now?
That was baseball, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was baseball. We played
Louisiana Monroe.
Louisiana. Was it Louisiana Monroe?
Yeah, Louisiana Monroe.
And then we play Jack State tomorrow night in Jacksonville at 6 o'clock.
Troy in baseball played
In baseball.
Florida. They played Georgia State.
Yeah, Georgia State. That's right.
Yeah.
We play Jacksonville State tomorrow night in Jacksonville, and this weekend we'll host Appalachian State. The Lady Trojans swept Louisiana Monroe. The Lady Trojans are 29-9, 13-3 in the conference. They won 13-2, 10-6, and 5-2, and they will play and host Georgia Tech here in Troy on Wednesday.
No,
night,
mark that on the calendar.
Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Troy versus Georgia Tech here in town.
Yeah.
And then they travel to Appalachian State this weekend. And if we remember, the softball tournament for the Sun Belt will be held on the campus of Troy University May the 12th through the 15th, so that's right around the corner.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes, you may.
Teacher, I used to do this in class all the time. I bet Mike Amos remembers this. I had just moved back to Troy, 11 or 12. This is before Coach Maestri came. It was Coach Bazzilia was the basketball coach.
Uh-huh.
And I remember big, stunning news one basketball season. Troy University went over to Atlanta, and who did they beat?
They beat Tech.
They beat Georgia Tech.
Yeah, under Coach.
Division II, Troy University beat the Georgia Tech. All right,
Yeah,
sorry.
Kevin's in Auburn. His son Kevin's in Auburn.
Let me tell you something else. He beat them twice in his career.
Did he really?
Yeah, he beat Georgia Tech twice, which is that they're not a great basketball school, but they're a big school.
Used to be in the SEC. And,
Oh yeah.
And the Sun Belt baseball tournament will be held in Montgomery the last weekend in May. Still have not named a head coach at Charles Henderson High School in basketball. Still looking for that. Pike Liberal Arts played in the junior high state championships. I have no results. Couldn't find it in the paper. I know Goshen High School swept Pike County.
Pike Liberal was tied 2-2 in one game when I went to pick up my Troy Life magazine Friday afternoon and talked to my brother Bobby. His son Will plays on that team. He has a little app, and it gives you live updates. I think they were playing Macon East or somebody. And it was 2-2 and late in the game. And Pike Liberal hadn't lost the game in the tournament yet, and so that's where it ended. Then I got sick and didn't follow up. But so, I hope.
Well, in that tournament, it's Macon East, South Choctaw, Patrician, Lowndes Academy, Glenwood Academy, and Lee Scott. Goshen.
Pike Liberal Arts was undefeated going into that tournament.
Mm-hmm. I know they won the first game. Mm-hmm. Goshen High School swept Pike County and ended their season. They defeated Pike County 11-1 and 8-6. And SEC baseball, Tennessee had a player. His name is Evan Russell. He hit 3 home runs against Vanderbilt.
Evan Russell. Huh.
And then earlier in the year, he hit 3 home runs against LSU.
He did?
Yes, but he's not in the top
This
tier.
guy hit 3 home runs 2 different times.
Two different times.
Boy, that'd be a
college.
record hard to beat, I beat.
And, but anyway,
Now, if you were telling me it was a girl that hit 3 home runs, I could believe it, because, hey, that's a little league fence they use.
Well, then you told us you stunned me a couple of months ago when you named all the major league players that had hit 4 home runs in one game.
I don't know if I can name them all.
Well,
but
I mean, it was more than I thought that done it.
Yeah, Stuart Sink, man, he won again.
And
The Alabama native from Florence,
that's
Bradshaw High School.
Bradshaw High School. There's no
47
longer a
years old.
Bradshaw High School in Florence now, but it's all now Florence. Right there, Florence High School.
He's won twice this year. He joins Bryson DeChambeau as the only 2 PGA players to win two matches.
Tell
this
everybody
year.
how old he is.
47.
And the thing about his son now,
2 scores.
I think one of his
His oldest son.
His son was
his oldest son used to play with him in different father-son deals.
well,
And
one of
they
his
won,
sons.
they won it one year.
Yeah, one of his sons caddied for him. It
Yeah,
may be the
that's
same
it.
one. So
Yeah,
hey,
since
keep the
Stuart-
money in the family.
No, since Stuart Sink has had this resurgence late in his career, it's been with his son on the bag.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not some little novelty that he's being sweet to his son. His son is really helping Dad as the caddy.
And the bank received $1,278,000 for that
Pretty good
win.
for a little country boy, and
From the boy comes by.
Well, I got a Stuart Sink story. I've
Yeah,
told
what
y'all my second cousin, Mary John Coates from Prattville, lives in Atlanta to this day. And 15, 20 years ago, she was the nanny for Mr. and Mrs. Stuart Sink.
he
And
was the nanny.
She was.
Oh, okay.
She took care of those children, including that caddy right now.
Yeah.
And one time Stuart Sink took her to England when he played in the British Open, and she took care of the kids. But she says that Stuart Sink is a real nice, class
I'm sure he is.
gentleman. So I pull for him.
And you're exactly right. And to win 2 games, two tournaments like that, in 1 year is really something for a 47-year-old.
Where did he play his college?
He played Tech.
At Georgia
I
Tech.
think he did. I
He
think
sure
he played at Georgia Tech. He my buddy that plays on the tour is so good. What's his name?
Scott,
Shoot.
no, I know you're talking about.
Oh, he's one of the most popular.
He's getting up there in age too.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the Troy Life is out.
Yeah, talked about that.
And Rice has got a huge article in this publication, and of course, it's put out is it once a month?
No, they do it about 6 times a year. It's
Twice a month.
Yeah, but once every 2 months, probably.
Sorry, yeah, once every 2 months.
Yeah.
And of course, right here with the festival coming up, and then we got some great articles. Tell us about it, Ryan.
Well, I just kudos to the Troy Messenger staff puts it out, but they were assigned me that we had a brainstorming session, and I said somebody needs to do a big story on what actually happened with the Galt crime spree from 1962. I've always heard about. I've just heard different versions of it. And so I've suggested that story, and Bobby said go with it. Now, he probably had no idea that once I started my research, I would go into the depth that I did. So I read dozens of I subscribe to a service, Mike, that you can go online, pay $70 for 6 months, and you can read every newspaper article from going back 100 years. So I found articles
from any paper.
Yeah, I found articles from the Ozark newspaper, from the Auburn newspaper, from the Troy newspaper, the Clio newspaper, the Dothan Eagle, the Montgomery Advertiser. So I read all the different articles, New York State, Ohio, all these articles I could find on Galt and Youngblood. And what it was a crime spree that took place over 90 minutes and claimed 3 lives, including Officer Hayden Youngblood from the Troy Police Department, 2 bankers in Ozark, one who was 20 years old and had just started working at the bank 2 weeks earlier, almost killed the police chief in Clio. Had a shootout in Main Street in Clio. And, you know, old-timers in Troy will remember the Galt story, which really is the crime of the century in Troy. And so I pieced together all this information and tried to, you know, nail down some facts. And fortunately, Bob's magazine ran the story in full. So if you got about 10 or 15 minutes and want to learn about what happened on that day in May of 1962, you can read it in this magazine.
And the other features are in the Troy Life is Troy Fest, a good article about it, Gene Lake.
The Gene Lake Arts Festival is what it used to be known as.
The Johnson Center for the Arts, Adams Glass is a feature on the Adams family. Good. And Heather Miller artwork, gluten-free and guilt-free recipes, just a lot of different things in here as it relates to our area and the city of Troy and Pike County.
It's a 60-page slick, glossy magazine.
I've got a good friend who's got his picture in the front page.
Is that you
know who that might be?
Let's see here.
All I had to do is see our big old legs right there.
Who is that?
Buck Corley. It looks like Buck Corley that is in the front page. Then that's Jimmy Lunsford right there. It looks like to me the mayor. What do you think?
You know, you can go to their Facebook and you can see all the artists that are coming to Troy this weekend. Yeah. Of course, Wally Lowry, he has his famous artwork. Adams Glass will be there, and one of these days I'm gonna put some woodworking in there, but.
Yeah, you could sure
I
do
need
it.
a bigger shop at the house. I need to increase the size of my he shed.
I'm gonna try to have somebody with the Arts Council on maybe as early as tomorrow if I can.
You know who loves fine art is your wife, Carol Amos.
Yeah, she's got
quite a collection.
And your mother was a good artist too, Mike.
Yeah, that's right.
And I saw that rooster that she had painted for Chris.
She was great.
And if I may, tonight at Mama Goldberg's, there's going to be 8 to 10 guys that went to Saudi Arabia 30 years ago and arrived 30 years ago this month. And Christopher Joel Amos is one of the guys coming for this little gathering for my show. It'll be good news and interviews with the 1659th Movement Control Team. And I also want to honor the 1167th Transportation Detachment, which was Herbie Davis, Averett Walker, and Jack Jordan, and the 900th Maintenance Company out of Brundage. There were a lot of men who were deployed as well 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
And, you know, and I like to be upbeat, but if you look around the world news, things are happening around the world, and you better be ready.
Yeah. You know,
anything can happen any moment.
I agree with that.
They're talking about Russia. They're talking about Iran.
China.
And what they're doing, they're testing this administration
Korea.
on how they'll react to some of these things going on.
Anyway.
But
well, let's all don't get in a war.
That's exactly right.
I've said this before. You know where Troy is.
Yeah.
You know who's one of our biggest employers?
Sikorsky and Lockheed.
And you think they would be targets? Yeah,
yes,
they would. Now, how far are we from Fort Rucker?
Not far.
The head of
Air Force Base, Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Helicopter Army. The helicopters are so important. And then Maxwell Air Force Base. So
well, it's a lot of military.
Well, when I look out in my backyard, if my snap beans aren't up by this weekend, I'm going to have to replant them for the third time.
Oh boy,
they might have been too wet when I planted them the first time. So,
what happened? They didn't take.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was last year's seeds the first time, or 2 or 3 years old, but I kept them in a plastic container. The last set I put in there were fresh from the Pike Farmers Co-op in Troy, and I get a lot of my stuff from Goshen Co-op too. But my tomatoes look good. Hey, and I planted some in square bales. I've got 3 square bales. I've got 2 tomato plants in one, and my cucumber and squash are coming up. I planted the seed, and somebody said, try that. And
let's take a break here.
Sure.
Of course, our show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass in Troy. We'll be right back.
This is Barney at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and I'm here to nip this sale in the bud.
Hello, folks. This is Greg Anthony, sales manager at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Troy, Alabama, offering discounts up to $15,000.
Let's nip that.
0% financing up to 72 months.
We gotta nip that.
Barney, $5,000 over Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
You're killing the competition.
Barney!
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
This is my chart from Southeast Health.
And you're gonna want to make it yours, not because it's free,
But because it's priceless. Because with my chart, you can schedule appointments online with your provider.
you can email your provider and get answers,
Have a virtual visit.
get test results,
refill prescriptions,
and manage your family's health care. You know how we all want healthcare to be easier?
but no one seems to listen.
Well, someone did.
Southeast Health.
To get your free My Chart app,
Visit your app store or go to southeasthealth.org.
When something's just right, it's more than a good fit. It's that perfect feeling. And at Badcock Home Furniture and More, that means just for you comfort. Find styles that move you at Badcock's Motion and More sale. Featuring new recliner sets like our remarkable Duke collection or our selection of Lazy Boy recliners. All with no credit refused. So shop what's just right at your local Badcock in Elba and Enterprise. Badcock Home Furniture and More. Just right.
Back to our show, Alabama and Auburn won this weekend. Wouldn't y'all say that?
I just hope nobody got hurt.
They had, they said Alabama had right at 50,000, and then Auburn was about 30,000. Auburn was smart. They charged $10 to get in. Alabama charged $5.
Auburn had 20,000 fewer fans, but they made more money.
That's right. They sure
They
did.
are smart.
And of course, they've got a receiver at Auburn that jumped out in front of all the rest. His name's Elijah Canyon. He caught 6 passes for 51 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty good for the. I think they say he's a sophomore.
All I know about Auburn is Bo Nix and the running back, Bixby, and you would always assume they'd have a pretty good defense, but their defensive coordinator's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think I agree with Mike and Forrest and everybody else that their coach I think is a good one.
Yeah. Something about the Auburn quarterback. And Forrest was telling me the other day that what happens if he goes down?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know who the backups are at Auburn. Do you? Do you have no?
I've got that list somewhere, but it's nobody eye catching. But
But of course, Nix is very durable. He's a hard nosed kid, and he
doesn't get hurt. That's right.
But let me ask this, and I wish you couldn't get Michael, could you?
I texted him. I said, "Are you calling?"
But
I didn't call
was
him.
just wondering. But it is a good question about Nix is no question he's able to take the punishment and all that, but what if he does go down? And that's a good if and but story.
Well, they said their offensive line, all of them are coming back. They got 2 stud running backs, that Bigsby, and there's another kid. I saw an article. I was trying to pull it up, but Auburn, it had the 5 most intriguing things about spring, or the 5 most impressive, and a few things they need to work on. But I think the defense dominated for Auburn in the spring game for the most part.
Of course, the Vanderbilt former Vanderbilt head coach, who was a great defensive coordinator at Stanford, is
Derek Mason.
He's actually where he should have been in the first place. He's not a head coach. Some people just don't have the personality of a head coach, but he's a heck of a coach. And then you've got Bobo, who you been the head coach at Colorado State and a few other places, and he brings a lot of experience to that position. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, Auburn has their offensive and their defensive coordinator make over $1 million a year. Is that right?
Well, their staff is pretty phenomenal, and
we got a young man from Troy making some of that money, don't we?
Sure do.
And,
we got 2 from Troy that are making that money.
Yeah.
The coach, quarterback's coach of Ohio State is Dennis.
Corey Dennis, yeah. They said that their quarterback race is still up in the air. It's going to come down between 2 or 3 people. And, defensively for Alabama, I watched just a touch of the game. We had I worked at the golf course on Saturday, and we were packed like sardines.
Were you really? That's good.
It was packed. And
see, it pays to advertise on.
It pays to advertise on Today in
we
LA.
Talk about you.
And
but it's the best value of public golf in the state of Alabama. Yeah. But go ahead.
But when I get going, I can't watch TV. Yeah. It was on, but I was rocking and rolling.
But y'all did a lot of paid customers.
Oh yes.
So a lot of non-member players.
One thing out there, everybody pays for their cart. We're still paying the note on the carts, but you got to pay for your carts.
Yeah, you got to.
And I like that atmosphere out there. The guys are just genuine. They invite the public. We have a lot of Troy University kids that come and play. And I want to make this a note every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Show up about 5 o'clock, and you can play for $12, 9 holes with a cart. And they play a little scramble. Everybody puts like $5 extra in a pot. The winning team wins the money. But what they'll do, say if 20 people show up, they'll divide you in a team of 3 or a team of 4 and play best ball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So everybody gets to drive. Well, you go to the best drive. Everybody else picks their ball up. You hit from there until the ball goes in the cup. And they randomly draw the teams. So you get to know a lot of different people.
Sure.
So you may match up. Hey, what are you doing Thursday afternoon? You want to play some golf? Yeah. And so it invites people to come and play and enjoy and learn and mix.
It's just 9 holes.
Yeah, 9 holes.
So it doesn't take up the whole day,
Yeah, and one particular day, not last week, but the week before last, we had 4 teams. They all tied with a -4. Well, they didn't have time to go to a playoff because of darkness, so they went to the number 6 tee box. And you chipped over the sand trap to number 5's hole. And so the team with the closest ball to the pin, won.
Yeah.
And so all 15 or 16 guys had a chance to chip over.
That's pressure.
And,
for the pot.
For the pot, which is kind of neat.
You know something else.
How close was the winning pitch? You remember?
It was about from here from the flag of America. It was about 4 foot.
4 foot.
Yeah, the winning chip.
Our recreation
James
people and city farmers, fathers should take a look at this, because if they've got that many people playing golf in Brundage, we could have a public golf course here in Troy.
I think one thing, if you could start maybe a par 3 and then.
Yeah.
But why need it? I mean, really, that golf course is only 10 miles from Troy, right down the highway.
See, these college kids, I mean, if you had it here in town, it'd be filled up every day.
Yeah, it would. And see, the one thing that I think this surrounding area needs, Dothan doesn't miss it, Montgomery has it, but we need to develop our youth in tennis and golf.
Yeah.
Track and field and some of those other sports, because golf is a lifetime sport. I wish I hit golf balls in Goshen over by our garden, and that's the only golf I got until I was in college. Then I took John Archer for golf because we had a golf course.
Sure.
And of course I was a physical education major, but
the university could justify it as far as the curriculum, kids
sure.
Want to
look,
take
if we
a
had
course in golf.
Then it's going to, some of these schools can have a golf member. Say if you have that, then Goshen can have 1 or 2 golfers.
You don't have to piece of property that can handle it right now. Is some property that I own, or my wife owns, on Pike County Lake Road.
Sure.
And and you be a perfect place for a guy.
Yeah, bowling. A few years ago, bowling was the #1 growing sport in athletics across the nation as far as it relates to high school. And what that's doing now, these colleges are offering bowling as a competitive sport. It doesn't cost that much.
Right, you know something about.
Why are they offering it as a competitive sport? It doesn't cost very much.
It doesn't cost very much.
To me,
Archery
Troy
is another
University would be quite unique to tell incoming freshmen that we offer bowling. We got these bowling alleys on campus.
Here we go.
All right, brother.
Guten Morgen.
Where are you? Where are you?
Good morning.
Hello.
You're on Today in L.A.?
Hey, it's Will Matthews.
Will.
We thought you were Michael.
Oh, yeah. The Will Matthews is our
What's the
favorite
name of the Boy Scout
lawyer.
camp out west that's next to that everybody used to go to? Probably still do.
Camp Alaflow?
No. I thought it started with a W.
No.
Never mind. That's it.
I don't know. You're talking about out in the west part of the United States.
Yep.
The one near Enterprise was Camporee, wasn't it? Camporee. I was in the Boy Scouts briefly.
Camp Alaflow is between Enterprise and Ozark.
All right. Rice, of course, this morning we've got Will Matthews on our line. What's been going on in Ozark, Dothan?
Everything's quiet.
Is everything go for the your golf tournament down there? Junior golf tournament?
Well, that's not till late June.
Yeah.
I was wondering when that was going to be.
Hey, Will, this is Forrest. You can go to WSFA and look on their past videos. There was a great documentary, I guess you'd call it, or series on Mike Amos and Miss Carol were on there this past weekend. And it features Dr. Balasetti, who performed that surgery on Mike. It's life-saving. I think since he's been in Montgomery about a year and a half or so, he's treated 20 to 25 patients.
He really
with
hasn't
this.
been there but 3 months.
But anyway, he's at Baptist South Medical Center, and a great article on Carol and Mike. And
so you were blessed that he was
Dr.
He
Balasetti.
came 3 months ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he was there waiting for me when when the ambulance got there too.
I think he's the only one in the state of Alabama.
That's right. Well, no, there's one in. He's the only one in Montgomery.
Okay.
Then there's one in at UAB, and there's one in Dothan. I don't know which hospital it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is something. It's the type procedure that he does, Will, that can save lives. What he does, he goes either in the wrist or in the groin.
Wow.
They say he's going more in the wrist now than he goes up through the heart and then to the brain, and he zaps it out.
What movie was that where they in a little capsule like a spaceship and they're going through a body?
Mm-hmm.
They get shrunk, and
Yeah.
it's back in the 60s or 70s.
Oh,
Remember that
boy,
TV
really?
show? I mean,
Yeah.
it was a movie.
Well, that's the way they go through the veins and arteries. It makes sense.
Will, Rice has a real good article on the Galt when Galt came through Ozark and through Louisville and to Troy. Do you remember those days?
Pick that up, Bill. How can I find that?
They leave it at about 60 different businesses in Troy. You can go to the Messenger right next to our office, and they'll give you some.
Yeah,
the Troy
Bird's
Messenger.
Book, yeah.
Troy
It
Line.
would be online.
You know, I'll ask Bobby to put it online. He needs to, because everybody in Ozark and Clio would like to read this too.
You know, we were looking at this morning. Do you remember Mr. Jackson, the banker in Ozark?
Mr.
I never knew him.
Flowers.
I knew his brother Ronnie that was the school board superintendent for several years.
Oh, it's Fred Flowers and
He's a good
David
friend of mine,
Jackson.
Ronnie is.
Yeah. David Jackson and Fred Flowers.
Yeah, David was Ronnie's older brother, and he was just out of high school when he got killed.
That's right. I'm gonna tell you how sad it is. He
Had a baby.
had an 18-month-old baby. the story said he was 20. Here's how you get facts that aren't correct, but you understand it because it's a fluid story and everybody's rushed on deadlines. But some people said he was 23, 22, 21, and then so I went to his obituary, and well, he was 20.
He was 20.
Yeah, and but he had just graduated from Carroll High School in 1959, which is a year after my mom and dad graduated from Troy High School. He was a good athlete, good student, but he'd only been working at that bank for 2 weeks when that bank robber came in there and shot him in the back. You know, for no.
Bill, he went to high school with Nick Andrews
and Billy Knowles.
And Billy Knowles. He was in the same class.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Those were two outstanding players. And I'm looking at it, a good-looking athlete. He's, you know,
well, he had
that big, thick neck.
He was 20 years old. He had left a widow and an 18-month-old son. I mean, and then the bank vice president that was killed had 4 children. He was my age, 55. Mr. Youngblood was 37, and he had Officer Youngblood. He had 3 children.
Gosh. And if you remember, Will said the other day that some guy stopped his dad on the street talking to him when it prevented him. He was.
It was Bozo Logan saved my daddy's life, and Bozo chased the guy all over South Alabama.
Yep, that's in the story.
Of course, in Louisville, he shot the sheriff or police chief in Louisville, didn't he?
Clio, not Louisville.
Clio instead of Louisville.
Yeah, it's like a police department just like Mayberry. They have a police chief and one other officer, and the police chief followed him into Clio, stopped him at the red light, pulled his gun on him, said, "Raise your hands, get out of that car." Galt put his hands out like he was going to surrender. Opened the door, and they say when one foot hit the ground, he shot through his open window and hit that police chief right in the chest. Yeah. It's amazing it went through his chest, punctured his lungs. Somehow it did not kill that guy, and that officer fired back 5 shots at Galt, grazed him in the head. That probably saved him because that Galt fell back into the car when he was shot, grazed in the head, and then Galt came back out firing. So it was a real shootout on Main Street. One of the amazing details I've learned in researching the story, you know who the closest eyewitness to the shootout was?
The wife.
The wife of the police chief.
Yeah.
She was working at a dry goods store 25 feet away from where the shootout happened, probably at the only stoplight in Clio. She's watching her husband shoot it out with Galt. And after the shootout is over, she runs to her husband, not far, a couple steps. He never falls down, and he walks to a doctor's office, and he was in the hospital for 11 days in Ozark.
Chief Bull was, or this?
No, this is Clio Police. Chief Roberts, 62 years old, and he could have died, but he didn't die. He came back and was police chief, but he was almost the 4th victim.
Hey, a little small town of Clio.
Yeah. Galt drove a 1953 baby blue Cadillac. Is that right?
That's right. You know how he got that Cadillac?
Yeah.
Stole a bank.
Well, he robbed the bank. He robbed the bank in Auburn 17 months earlier. Got away with $29,200 in cold cash, which I did the math. You can go to an inflation calculator and find out how much $29,000 is in today's money. You know how much it is?
$240,000.
$256,000. So
where did he buy the Cadillac? Do we know?
He bought it for cash. I guarantee you that. I don't know where he bought it.
What business he bought it from?
Wow. And so he was out of money when he robbed the bank and tried to rob the bank. He got no money in Ozark.
Good Lord.
But so he had gone through the equivalent of $257,000 in 17 months. He was broke when he was finally killed. So that makes you wonder, how in the heck did he spend all that money in 17 months?
This is probably.
Bill, didn't he get about $20,000 or $30,000 from the bank in Ozark?
No, he got got nothing. He panicked. No, he got not a cent. It was an aborted bank robbery. What happened is he came in. Mr. Flowers, the bank vice president, probably, you got to qualify that and say probably, saw that he was a bank robber before anybody else, and he was either going for the phone are going for a weapon, or either Galt thought he was. Galt saw Mr. Flowers make that move. He jumped up on the counter and immediately shot Mr. Flowers. I mean, he didn't even say a word. He just, and then he shot the young man that was 20. And then the bank everybody fled out the bank, and he just calmly walked out. But it all took 2 or 3 minutes, and he didn't get a penny. And then the chase was on. That ended in a cemetery, ironically enough. You know, on the Needmore Road in Troy. 90 minutes later.
Tell you what, this is, this article is excellent.
But that's a good suggestion. I will tell Bobby. It's a long story, but I don't know why he can't put it online, and the paper in Ozark can do a blurb, and I know there'll be high interest in Ozark and Clio about this story.
You can send it to the Ozark paper. They'll reprint it.
I will. Thank you.
Well, Stuart Sink, the man of the, how about Stu?
What you think about the golf tournament? Oh, Stuart Sink, 47 years old. This is the second tournament he's won. What do you think about it, Will?
Well, 30 years ago, he won the Future Masters for the second time.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
He won it twice in a row.
Wow.
So, from Florence, Alabama, he came down and played the Shih Tzu, played in the, what is it?
Well, can we make a case that he is the best golfer to come from the state of Alabama?
I don't know.
Based on their pro career?
Maybe.
Well, I'd say Heber Green, maybe.
Yeah, Heber Green did win.
Because Heber Green won 2 majors.
And I want to say he won, Heber Green.
He probably won more
I tell
than
you what,
Stuart Sink.
he won that tournament several times. You remember that? He always played good in that tournament.
Yeah, Heber Green's in the World Golf Hall of Fame, so I would say he's probably the best.
Yeah.
I don't know, Gardner Dickinson was a good one, too.
Yeah.
Back in the 50s.
And Jerry Pate had a pretty good, he didn't stay good long, but he was pretty good, wasn't
Yeah, he was good for 4 or 5 years, and then he got hurt.
he? He's the one, he's famous for that 5-iron, isn't that right?
An athletic club, yes.
And they hit a 5-iron, and nobody would have, I think they couldn't believe he was hitting a 5-iron, something.
Will, you'll know this. Jerry Pate, Alabama can claim him. Tell me if I'm wrong. His family lived in Alabama for a while, but then they moved to Pensacola.
Yeah.
No, he was from Birmingham, I think, and his daddy was a doctor.
But he didn't finish high school in Alabama. I know he came to the University of Alabama, but he really, most of his high school golf was played in, I think, in the Pensacola area.
Yeah. And other golfer, our buddy from Greenville, he won. Did he win? How many tournaments did he win?
Philip Hancock?
Yeah, Hancock.
He won 1.
Yeah. And he was a pretty good young golfer, wasn't he? At Florida, he played at Florida, didn't he?
But the one he won was the biggest money tournament they had at the time.
That's a good one to win.
What was it?
It was in Pinehurst, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And it was called the World Golf Hall of Fame Tournament. And at the time, it was the biggest first place prize of any tournament when he won it. And that's the only tournament he ever won.
It's hard to win. I mean, you think of all the great golfers there have been. Most golfers on the PGA Tour have never won a tournament. That is a correct.
Buddy Gardner played on the tour for years and never won.
Yeah,
that's right. And I remember. I was living in Opelika when Buddy Gardner was on the Auburn golf team, and that golf team practiced at Salgahatchee Country Club, where my parents were members.
Right.
So I saw all the Auburn golfers, and I knew that Buddy Gardner was supposedly the best and would watch him. So I pulled for him later in his career, and he had a long PGA career. And he never, and I can remember 1 or 2 tournaments where he had a great chance to win, but he missed the key putt or something.
I had a date with his sister for our junior senior prom here in Troy.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Buddy Gardner's sister?
And Jane Gardner was he had brother, 2 sisters, beautiful girls. Jane and Ann Gardner.
Where were they from?
Montgomery Robert E. Lee High School, and that was a long time ago. And something about this. How about you didn't mention Matt McClendon, did you?
Yeah, he was a good one.
Well, Justin Thomas was not born in Alabama, but
he'll be the best of them.
Did Matt McClendon win any tournaments?
Oh yeah, Mac won several tournaments on the tour.
Did he? I didn't know that. Of course, he was probably one of the best amateur. I mean, when he was an amateur, he was outstanding.
Yeah, Herbert Green won 29.
Buddy Gardner played at Bonnie Crest.
Yep.
A lot of good golfers came out of Bonnie Crest.
Yep.
Forrest just told us that Hubert Green won 29 tournaments, so that's probably twice as many as Stuart Sink.
He won that many tournaments?
Yeah.
What it says.
I remember when I pulled for Hubert Green because he was from Birmingham, and I remember one time he won 3 in a row on the PGA Tour.
I mean, golly, that is tremendous, isn't it, Will? I mean,
Mac McClendon played at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
He said he won 29 tournaments.
Hubert Green, you remember the British Open where Tom Watson and Jack Nicklaus ran away from the field? They lapped the field and had that epic. Hubert Green came in third.
Yeah.
Said he played at LSU and he won 4.
No, this is Mac McClendon.
Mac McClendon.
I don't even think Hubert went to college, did he?
Yeah, he
Okay.
And, he won.
That really
had 6 professional wins. Is what it says.
Oh yeah,
he won 4 PGA events.
Didn't Hubert Green live in Panama City Beach or Panama City?
Yeah, he did. I used to watch him practice. 4 years ago. I used to watch him practice, and he practiced at Signal Hill for a long time, didn't he? Had a one.
He played at Bay Point. He died about 3 years ago.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen him practicing. When I would play at.
I've
Signal
heard
Hill
people that
sometimes.
bumped into him, or he said he liked to keep to himself.
Yeah. Oh, he was like that. He wasn't the most popular player on the tour, was he?
I don't know that. I don't know anything about that.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying, he was just I tell you what, when he's practicing, he didn't want anybody around him. I know that.
Mm-hmm. Well, these guys got to be
great player.
These guys got to be a little different to be that good and that level. It's kind of hard to be. You got to be so focused on what you're doing.
But I was surprised that you said. Let's see, he won 29 matches, and
McClendon won 6.
And
professional wins.
How many McClendon win?
6. 4 PGA, but 6.
There's not many golfers who have won 29 times. I mean, in his era, Hubert Green was in the top 7 golfers in the world, probably.
And that's probably why he's a member of the Hall of Fame, isn't it?
Yeah, he won a couple of majors too.
Yeah.
He won 2 majors. Could have won some more. I remember he didn't he miss a putt at the Masters from about 3 feet. He could have got.
And that let Gary Player win, and that was going to be the first year they had a sudden death playoff at the Masters. Every year before that, they had an 18-hole playoff.
He finished second in the Masters, won the PGA, won the U.S. Open.
Golly.
And in 1977, finished third in the Open. World Golf Hall of Fame 2007.
You know, that
played
is
at Shades Valley High School, went to Florida State.
I'll tell you something he did did you ever notice how low his hands were? Yeah. His hands were almost on the ground, almost.
He had a completely unique swing.
Have you ever noticed that about him, Will?
Yeah, he had a real flat swing.
Yeah, and so he played these narrow courses with narrow fairways real well. Looked like to me.
I can tell you about the 1978 Masters Bill was talking about. My daddy and I saw Hubert hit it. He hit it like 2 feet from the hole of 18. And we headed to number 1 to watch the playoff.
And that's what Rice mentioned, yeah.
So we were halfway to our car at the first green where we were standing when he missed the putt.
You know, that was a heyday for Alabama golfers because you had Jerry Pate, who was always in contention for a while, and then Hubert Green, too. You know, Jerry Pate, he won I call the U.S. Amateur a major. He won that, too.
He won that in '74,
Yeah.
and he won the U.S. Open in '76.
And he had some other majors where he had a real good chance of winning. So you're right. For about 4 or 5 years, he was top 6 golfer in the world.
Yeah. In 1968, he graduated from Florida State in marketing. That same year, he joined the Alabama Army National Guard in Enterprise. I don't know how long he was in the.
Hey,
that,
guys, you're not
Herbert
going to believe
Green?
this.
Herbert.
This is true.
Golly.
Hubert Green built the Enterprise Country Club.
How did that happen?
Well, he was in the National Guard, so he just got a bunch of front-end loaders and bulldozers and all that, and they built the golf course. And that's where it started.
Yeah. Pretty
Really?
good. Yeah, okay. That
Hubert
is something.
Green built the Enterprise Golf Club.
I never realized
You know, he
that.
was. I guarantee he was trying to stay out of Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm
that's what I did.
watching. I'm watching Mad Men, which both Mike Amoses have watched. I'm binge watching it.
Yeah.
And I'm at the last season, and the big thing is, that's the height of the Vietnam War, and so
Yeah.
the storyline is all these people, figuring out ways to get out of going over there, and getting in the National Guard was one of the main ways, I guess.
Said in the spring of 2003.
I've always heard that story. I think Enterprise had a little 9-hole course, and he developed it into an 18-hole
Yeah.
course, redesigned it, put in the sprinkler system or whatever, and turned it into a very nice. They've got a very nice golf course over there.
Yeah. They do. Beautiful course. Yeah.
Well, how about that?
You know,
Hubert Green, this is your life. How did we get off on this?
He passed away of throat cancer.
Now, let me ask you this. Troy's
Complications there.
Troy had Brundage had a golf course, and a lot of people from Troy go down and play it. Especially college students. I would think that some Ozark people would go play some at Brundage. Do they ever do that?
I'm sorry. What was that, Mike? I was reading.
You would think that Ozark would have some people come up and play golf.
They do, but I think the Ozark. We would know more. How's Ozark golf course doing now? Did it go under?
Ozark's got an 18-hole golf course. It used to be a private club. Now it's public.
Right.
And they're having more golf out there than they've ever had. They're having 200 or 300 play every weekend.
That's great. I thought that they would, and I thought that maybe some of them might go to Brundage and play.
Some of them, every now and then.
Yeah.
But we're just.
But does the who owns that course now? Is it the city that is on it, or what?
Gillivan?
No, John Gillen owns it.
Oh, he still owns it. Okay. And it's been really refurbished and everything.
It's nice, yeah. I've heard.
That's good.
I haven't played there in 20 years.
Well,
Didn't he marry a Mooneyham girl from Troy?
Yep, he sure
Betty?
did. Yeah.
Betty?
Married
Spurgeon and Miss
Spurgeon Mooneyham.
Virginia, Miss Virginia's daughter, oldest
sure
daughter.
did. Miss Virginia was a wonderful person, and
Betty, Elaine, and
that
Mary.
was an institution.
The three girls.
That business was an institution in Troy. Mooneyham Shoes.
Sister's married to Kenny Baker, isn't
yeah, that's right.
That's Elaine, and then there's Mary Ann's the youngest.
Spurgeon Mooneyham, their daddy was a legend. If there ever was one in Pike County,
Yep.
everybody knew Spurgeon Mooneyham.
I dated
He owned that
Mary Ann
shoe store there.
a little bit, and I remember having to go in and meet him for the first time. I was it's kind of
pretty girl.
intimidating.
Well, that's where I got plenty of shoes when I came to Troy. I didn't live in Troy until I was 12, but I visited every year because my grandparents lived here,
Yeah.
and they would buy me shoes, or my parents would, and they took me to Mooneyham Shoes.
Well, let me just tell you a little story. My father-in-law every year at Christmas would it'd be he'd have a little card in the box. I know he probably didn't do that, but he gave us a free visit to Mooneyham to buy a pair of shoes every Christmas.
Every year.
So I knew I'd get me some Allen Edmonds shoes, and that's the kind of shoe that your daddy would wear, wouldn't it, Will? Your daddy would wear Allen Edmonds shoes, wouldn't he?
I don't know.
But that's what. Well, I tell you what, I got a new pair of Allen Edmonds shoes every Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back. The show's right here in Troy, Alabama, in the and we appreciate.
So we went from Hubert Green to Mooneyham Shoes.
To Mooneyham Shoes, and we're back in a moment with more from Today in L.A. Brought to you by Sister's Restaurant.
Hi, Sandy. I'm right here. Come on in.
Baby, I'm right here. Hello, Miss Mary. I'm right here. I'm right here.
Since 1969, we've been right here. Because at Troy Regional Medical Center, we take these words to heart.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Remarkable people, remarkable care.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
This is Barney in Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and I'm here to nip this sale in the bud.
Hello, folks. This is Greg Anthony, sales manager at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Troy, Alabama, offering discounts up to $15,000.
Let's nip that.
0% financing up to 72 months.
We gotta nip that.
Barney, $5,000 over Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
You're killing the competition.
Barney!
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Napa Know-How. Hi, Sandy. I'm right here. Come on in.
Baby, I'm right here. Hello, Miss Mary. I'm right here. I'm right here.
Since 1969, we've been right here. Because at Troy Regional Medical Center, we take these words to heart.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Remarkable people, remarkable care.
Back to our show where Troy Regional Medical Center has its 50th anniversary, and what a great hospital we have. You know, it might be smaller than Montgomery and Dothan, but I don't know if it's any better.
That's right. I did a big story on it in a recent Progress magazine for the Messenger, and the stuff I learned from their CEO and from Cheryl Crow was really exciting. There's a lot of things that our hospital has that hospitals our size do not offer.
Rick Smith, a big-time administrator of a hospital, is
they actually had a good financial year, and a lot of hospitals are struggling right now in Alabama. You know, on the bubble of maybe closing rural hospitals, but they said Troy's hospital is definitely not in that category. But support, you know, they make good points that. You go to an emergency room or something for something that's affecting your child or is not life-threatening, and you go to Dothan or Montgomery, and you could go to Troy and be home by the time you even get there.
I want to stick something in your memory bank. Things that are were better then than they are now. You know, something that you can remember that was better then than they are now. Yeah. And it was I was.
What comes to your mind?
Well, I was thinking of some things that we have, and that you know, I can't really say it as far as.
I think there's a lot of things that you could say were better then than now. You know, the quality. Well, when you look at shoe stores, we just talked about Mooneyham's.
Yeah.
Is the shoe buying experience better today than it was at Mooneyham Shoes?
Yeah.
Is the department store experience better than it was at Rosenberg's?
And Stanton's.
Yeah, we had those.
The tailor shop.
Yeah. Of course, you know, the great one was Rosenberg's, you know. You know, remember Rosenberg's, and that was a unique clothing store. I was talking to Mike.
Barbershops.
I was talking.
Not many barbers.
Yeah, That's right. We're talking about Bearfields and Ozark, a great men's store. But, those things, stores like that one at Bearfields, you don't see them anymore. They're individual stores, and he built his inventory up himself, and compared to these big stores like
what's caused that? I put some thought into this. Is what you're right, and it's really inflation drives everything. Prices have gone up so much that families got to maximize their dollar expenditure or save money wherever they can. So that means that the Walmarts of the world are where you got to shop. It's the Rosenbergs can't, and the convenience, they can't compete with that. And like my dad's old business, the gasoline business.
Yeah.
Pump you on.
Lunsford's
full
Gold.
service.
You had great full service where you checked your oil, cleaned your windshields, checked your tire pressure, and the customers didn't mind. The little old ladies loved that. Well, it's completely disappeared because people want to save, that they don't want to pay the extra 30 cents to get the full service.
But you know what? I think somebody could take a chance on a
right across the street
that does those same things. A lot of people running around with a shortage of oil. They would at least know they needed to change some oil.
Another thing is newspapers. I miss newspapers.
Oh,
I do too, Forrest.
I miss payphones. You can't. Of course, you don't need them anymore, but you don't see payphones anymore.
Technology made a lot of things.
You don't see drink boxes on the streets anymore.
You take some old country guy that out on the farm. A lot of them might not even have a phone like we have now.
I'll bet you that there are unintended consequences to every change. I'll give you an example. I think I'm the only person that's thought of it. You don't see as many country stores as you did 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
They used to be all over Pike County. My dad had gas customers that were country stores. You know what contributed to that? The main thing?
Walmart, Dollar General.
Maybe, but here's what that obviously played a role. But it was underground tank regulations from the OSHA. They said that all the gas station owners or jobbers, which my dad was one, if you were going to sell gasoline, you had to, at a certain point, replace and test all your underground gas storage tanks. Well, these country stores didn't sell enough gas to justify spending $50,000. They'd have to sell gas for 30 years to get that money back, so they couldn't sell gas. It wasn't, and then that's one of the main reasons that you went to a country store was eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And so really because of that, now people don't have this gathering place that was so important, and they now have to drive an extra 20 miles round trip to town to Walmart.
Yeah.
But nobody thought that when they did this underground tank regulations that you would essentially kill 90% of the country stores.
Let's say we got about a minute, Mike.
Of course, this was something. Something we'll touch on this later. But you take Raymond's Barbershop. All right, he said, of course, yeah.
There's one male barber in Troy that I know of that's Raymond.
Isn't that amazing?
One.
And it used to be one on every corner.
Yeah.
It used to be uptown had one.
When I went to Luverne for my first haircut, and I got razor on my neck, and it felt so good. I can still remember Mr. Mills did it. There was at least 6 or 7 in Luverne at that time. You walk in, boom, there they were. And that's
look, I can't explain that one. Is it you got these regulations that you got to have all these licenses or what? It seems like you can make a good living in that.
I know it. Of course, they've got this barbershop out on in the shopping center.
But they're changed. You're right.
But you got a college here just full of young men, and they're going to have to have a haircut.
There's a lot of women.
That's right. Hope you've enjoyed our show today, ladies and gentlemen.
God, we could go on for 15 more minutes.
That's right.
About
we
this.
could go on, and we appreciate it.